Hello everybody, it's me, your good friend Sparky, and welcome back to the Pikmin 2 treasure looking adding extravaganza, where we take a look at all of the different Pikmin 2 treasures, and later the Piklopedia. Starting us off today, we have the Blast from the Past series, which is a series of different Nintendo-themed items. First up, we have the Dream Architect, which is a ball game & watch valued at 280 Pogos with a weight of 10. At night, I have nothing to do but to keep me occupied. I've been searching for something to dull the boredom, but every time I find something I want to play with, it's broken. This object is a great example. It looks fascinating, but I can't get it to function. I guess all I have to do is write it in this journal. Yeah, I have to imagine the watch batteries in that thing have drained quite a bit over time. Going to bed early is a waste of time for a lively soul. This dream maker makes night fun. Fine, so it is broken and does not work, but that is a drawback. Come on, use your imagination. I'm sure they could find some way to make it work. It's simplistic enough. They just need really big batteries for someone of their size. Next, we have the Stone of Glory, which is an NES D-pad, valued at 100 Pokos with a weight of 5. This is a peculiar object. Just looking at it fills me with a powerful sense of nostalgia. Now that I think about it, the Pikmin had a curious look on their faces when they carried it, or maybe that was my imagination. Considering Pikmin started on the GameCube of all things, they probably had never seen an NES controller before. This odd rock is completely filled with nostalgia. None can dispute the magical powers of this stone. Can the day when this rock rules the entire universe be far away? If you ask some people, I feel like they'd already say that Nintendo does rule the universe in a way. And speaking of control sticks and the like, we have the Glee Spinner, which is a GameCube control stick. GameCube analog stick. Valued at 140 Pokos with a weight of 6. I think this is something else during the main playthrough I kind of glanced over because I was in a panic over something. When I get near this captivating treasure, I can't stop myself from spinning it over and over again. I shouldn't spin such a valuable treasure, but it's so hard to have self-control. From now on, instead of actually spinning it, I'll just imagine I'm doing it instead. Wow, this is so much fun. I have to admit, the GameCube control stick is quite satisfying. It's quite a good one. And this produces a mysterious, shape-induced mental effect in all living creatures. You simply must rotate it. Spin, 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 spin. What fun it must be. And much like the ship doesn't have a mouth, the ship doesn't have hands with which to spin this, so I believe he's missing out. And next we have the Cosmic Archive, which I believe I have confirmed that this is a castle of name. What's the name? Murasame's Castle? Murasame's Castle disc? Famicom disc? I think so. Right. Worth 230 Pokos with a weight of 15. The cave we searched today was aligned with flame-spewing spouts. The temperature in the cave was absolutely stifling. Oh, that reminds me. I completely forgot to tell Louie about Red Pikmin. He's so quiet, I sometimes forget he's even there. This item I salvaged from the cave seems to be some kind of storage device, but I have no way to play back the context. Well, you would need a Famicom disk system for that. All worldly matters from time's start to its end are said to be recorded in this historical vault. It's so huge, decoding it all is impossible. Its mere existence is said to make one philosophical. It is quite legendary and magical, I will say that. And the rest of this series of treasures is all about our good friend Rob here, the remembered old buddy, valued at 250 Pokos with a weight of 30. I can't believe I had the fortune to find this thing buried underground. It looks like a component of a huge mechanical doll. It looks just like apart from a robot in a cartoon I used to watch as a kid. How nostalgic. This futuristic machine makes me feel like I've traveled back in time. This relic rose directly from the sands of time. Its shape invokes waves of sweet nostalgia. Middle-aged men throughout the universe harken back to the days of their youth and grin. They pass on their tales to the next generation, filling them with adventure and romance. Yep, it's Rob's severed head, alright. Future Super Smash Bros. Character alongside Olimar. How neat. Next we have the Fond Gyro Block, valued at 80 Pokos with a weight of 5. Since I landed on this planet, I've encountered countless treasures that remind me of my childhood. I wonder why that is. I think it's because the objects we're discovering looked just like things I had as a kid. This is one of those items. Apparently, Olimar also had his own gyro blocks, and possibly an NES system. Red, the color of memories, of sunsets at the end of the day, and of play, and pure embarrassment. Embarrassment is a fond feeling, apparently. Next, we have the memorable gyro block, valued at 80 Pokos with a weight of 5. The other day, I accidentally threw away my son's favorite toy. He wouldn't stop crying. Some things that seem unimportant to adults are treasures to kids. When I was a boy, I'm sure I felt the same way about my favorite things. Now my family is my treasure, even though I considered leaving my wife for the wiggle noggin. No matter how old you grow, you will ever remember the treasures of childhood. Take this gift. Memorable. I never had a Rob with my NES. I didn't have a lot going on with my NES considering it hardly worked. But I do have several of my own fond toys and such things from my childhood still. I can't really bear to part with them. Moving on though. We have the Lost Gyro Block, valued at 80 Pokos with a weight of 5. What a surprise. When I observe this object, I can't stop myself from tearing up. I wonder why. It's hard to say, but it might be because some of these items remind me of the past. As all of these items do, at this point. Remember your treasured toys? You took such good care of them, but some broke anyway. For some reason, this green gyro brings back those memories and causes your heart to quiver. Is your heart quivering yet? Is it? Next up, we have the favorite gyro block. Playing favorites, I see. What do you know, it's valued at 80 Pokos with a weight of 5. When I was a kid, I always wanted toys to be blue. Blue is such a cool color. Yeah, you got it, Olimar. And yet for some reason you're commonly associated with the color red, and Louie is blue. It's unfortunate. Children throughout the universe are captivated by the very thought of this cool blue disc. Hokotate toy makers are swamped with orders for this popular item. Can they really make it that big for every child on Hokotate, though? This is the size of Olimar. It's a little hard to say. And leading off, or finishing off, I've done that twice now, I think. Finishing off this particular series is the Treasure Gyro Block, valued at 80 Pokos with a weight of 5. Coincidentally. Yesterday, we ventured into a spooky hole. Previously, all of the organisms we encountered were massed together in one cave. Had I not divided the Pikmin by color and utilized their unique abilities, I would never have made it out alive. In memory of my daring adventure, I've named that hole the Hole of Heroes. You certainly had to be a hero to get through that hole. Feel the joy that only collectors can savor, the happiness for those who have found them all. Enjoy this wonderful feeling to your heart's content. Can you collect all of the gyro blocks? Can you collect all of the mementos of the remembered old buddy? Buy them today, considering there's only one of each. Next up, the next series we have is the Mystical Energy series, which is a series of Duracell batteries. And this is actually where things kind of get interesting and confusing in regards to the Pikmin 2 treasures. In reality, between the different versions of the game, the Japanese version, European version, and an American version, the treasures in each game can vary quite a lot by where they're located and even what they are, mostly revolving around the different bouts of product placement. The Mystical Energy series is actually a pretty good example here because in the Japanese version, there's actually 6 batteries in this series of a different brand more common to Japan, while Duracell was put in its place for the English-speaking territories. It's not the first example of a unique treasure in the Pikmin 2 library either. The stupendous lens here and the boom cone, for example, are actually both treasures that are exclusive to the American version of the game. So, if you're off in another country right now and were confused by what those were because they weren't what you were familiar with from your version of Pikmin 2, that's why. A lot of the differences do start from this point onward, though, with the different product-placed items. In fact, there's actually even an entire series of items called the Mystical Disc series that's missing in English versions of Pikmin 2. Is because it was a series of milk bottle caps, and that's not really a thing outside of Japan, I guess, with like different branded milk and different caps and things like that that would be recognizable to an English-speaking audience. So they just took that entire series of items out of the game. And like different series will have different amounts and different products in their place depending on the region that they're released in. And yeah, if you're unfamiliar with the different Pikmin 2 items past this point, if you live outside of the US, I apologize, but this is the version of the game that I'm doing this with. Also notably, the Switch version, I think, takes out most, if not all, of the product placement, so I actually wonder if the treasures are more unified between the different regions in the Switch version of the game. It's something to consider. But moving on, we have the Proton AA, valued at 90 Pokos with a weight of 6. This object resembles the first treasure I found on this planet, so it holds a certain sentimental value to me. However, I've just noticed the size is slightly different. Sometimes I should take my time to read my previous treasure logbook. It's good to reflect on the past sometimes. Indeed. Some enigmatic energy unknown on Hokotate is trapped inside. Who couldn't use more energy? Duracell batteries are supposed to last a long time. Moving on, we have the Durable Energy Cell, which is valued at 160 Pokos with a weight of 15. This cryptic item exhibits an unbelievable quantity of stored dormant energy. The civilization that created this must have advanced tremendously when it discovered this powerful new energy source. If I were to take this technology back home, how would it affect the future of Hokotate? A good question. Humanoid history is one big scramble for energy, and this is a colossal fountain of it. Has the change to renewable energy on Hokotate already begun? We machines watch. Now, it's not renewable, it'll run out eventually, but it does make me wonder how much energy could possibly be stored in this, and how the battery's not leaking yet. Next up, we have the Courage Reactor, valued at 280 Pokos with a weight of 20. We recovered our first treasure! Indeed, this was the first treasure we gathered in Pikmin 2. Amazingly, the Pikmin remembered how to salvage it. I can't understand their adorable language, and I don't know what they're thinking, yet I'm so happy to see them. When I crashed on this planet, the Pikmin helped me locate my missing ship parts. In my darkest hour, the Pikmin were there for me. Now I am reunited with them, I know everything will be alright. It will, right? Well, Olimar, I can say for certain that everything is indeed alright at the end of the game. Physical energy is not the only kind. The energy dearest to us is that made by love and courage. The love and courage of your Pikmin companions, as you potentially sacrifice them to a gruesome death. Moving on, finishing off this series, we have the Fuel Reservoir, laid at 120 Pokos with a weight of 8. The ship has a lot of self-importance for a machine. Apparently, machines can exhibit human characteristics after all. Perhaps they even have a soul? If this is true, then maybe you can work them into the ground until their spirit is broken and they stop giving you lip. Oh no, I'm turning into the president. Don't walk down that dark path, Olimar. According to my measurements, almost no energy should remain within, yet some does. The energy one can draw from matter has a limit, but the energy of the heart is endless. Perhaps that is the case here. This proves that machines have will and determination. And the robot uprising has begun. Finishing us off is the next series here, which is the Massive Receptacle series, which is another series that has quite a difference between different regions. to the point where some of the names of these are actually on different items altogether, like the drone supplies here, I think, which is valued at 130 Pokos with a weight of 15. From my perspective, an American boy playing the Wii version, it's a can of deviled ham. Yesterday, the ship accused me of sampling all the food we've been collecting. That ship has a lot of nerve, even though you've admitted to this several times at this point, Olimar. This food pack, makes you want to throw all dietary restrictions out the window and take a bite. Deviled ham. Again, I don't actually eat ham, but I do like the chicken spread made by the same people here. Next up, we have the Patience Tester, which is a can of water chestnuts, valued at 130 Pokos with a weight of 20. When I see a closed container, I cannot help myself. I feel like I must open it and see what's inside. But when opening it, it could lose its value. I guess I'll just have to use my imagination. This calls out to be opened, peeked inside, and tasted. This temptation-filled item is perfect for those who wish to test the strength of their resolve. Granted, a full can of water chestnuts like this will definitely last Hokotate a while, I think. Next, we have the Endless Repository, which is valued at 130 Pokos with a weight of 20. It's a can of sardines. Everyone makes mistakes. Sometimes the desire overpowers reason. At least, that's what I told myself when I sampled this salty snack. Yeah, the whole people not really liking sardines thing. No matter how much you eat, this magic container is never empty, so go ahead and have a bite. Captain Olimar and his crony used this excuse. They later issued a written apology. Even though apparently he didn't really like it in the end, he still kept eating it. I wonder if he put some on some pizza. And it's in soybean oil, too. Next, we have the Fruit Guard, which I think is an exclusive treasure to the American regions. It is a can of apple juice, treetop apple juice, valued at 130 Pokos with a weight of 15. Among the treasures we've collected, many of them have strange scrawlings on them. Unfortunately, the alien writings are indecipherable, but pictures can be understood easily enough. This one seems to have a picture of a fruit on it. Ah, if that's the case, this canister must contain sweet nectar. One quick taste won't hurt. A taste of knowledge from a foreign world, this container holds juices of a primitive fruit. If you are a devotee of the genuine taste, you cannot pass this up. Little do they know that this is the juice from the insect condo, and they are in fact drinking bug juice as well. Next we have possibly one of my favorite treasures in the game, the Nutrient Silo, a big jar of Skippy peanut butter, valued at 130 Pokos with a weight of 15. What a fascinating storage container, and fantastic too. There's more food crammed in here than I could eat in a lifetime. Louis, however. Yeah, I could see Louis eating through this. A food storage tank of bewitchingly titanic size. As legend has it, this item is so captivating that the discoverer tried to claim it for himself. Apparently, Olimar really wanted to keep the nutrient silo. And finishing us off, we have the stringent container of Clever Girl baking powder, which I think is another item that it changes what kind of item it's associated with depending on the region, meaning that the stringent container is the name for different treasures in other game regions. But for now, it's baking powder, valued at 130 Pokos with a weight of 10. The ship's hold is so cluttered and disorganized, I wonder if we're actually finding new treasures or if we're just rediscovering old ones. A packed to the brim food container. According to legend, the discoverer of this item found it and immediately began to drool. That is kind of an indication of perhaps that it makes more sense in other regions when it's assigned to different things, because I can't really see anyone eating baking powder straight. Maybe to a Hokotatean who doesn't know any better, but it's a bit of an odd thing to consider. But anyway, that's going to call it for right now. Thank you very much for watching my little Pikmin 2 treasure journey here. This is your good friend Sparky signing off, and I will catch you next time.